Alrighty, so today we're going to look at the 5 games that happened in terms of the Wednesday action of match week number 26. And in terms of these 5 games, well, let's just say it wasn't as crazy as what we saw in the weekend's action, where there tends to be MLS After Dark energy almost every single game and tons of goals that was scoring. Although there was still some fair amount of goals in these 5 games and definitely some big result that some of these teams were able to get. And we start off with the first one, which is Atlanta United versus the New York Red Bulls, and Atlanta's struggle against the Red Bulls continue as they lost 2-1 at home in this game against their ultimate kryptonite. And this game also kind of sums up Atlanta United season and probably their last couple of years, where this is just a team that simply cannot get going on the attacking end despite the talent that they had. And then on the defensive end, some lapse of concentration is the reason why they went down 2-0 very quickly in this one. Though early on, as expected, I thought Atlanta was on the front foot and they had most of the possession. And the Red Bulls, as I expected, were happy to transition and press upfield. I mean, that's kind of the motive for the Red Bulls this season. They love to play on the transition and love to press whenever they go on the road, and they were doing that. And Token actually had the first opportunity in the 7th minute, but he puts it over the bar from long range before Klamala actually went through on goal, but he hits a weak one straight to Rios Novos. And I thought Atlanta's got to watch out for the press and transition because, yeah, as I said, this is what the Red Bulls like to do. And apparently they didn't get that memo because in the 11th minute, Lewis Morgan would score from Costas Jr. and Duncan, and this came off of a bad turnover from Atlanta United. And then just 8 minutes later, Token would actually get on the score sheet, although originally it looked like this goal was disallowed for offside, or actually this goal was originally disallowed because it looks like Klamala, who of course, when this cross was coming from Token, it looks like Klamala, who actually mistimed his jump to trying to hit that one in. It looked like he not only intervened the cross, but also he was in an offside position. But they did go to VAR to check to see whether or not if that is not the case, and indeed that was not the case, although it took a long time. Like, this is an example of what not to do in VAR, where, I know even though they showed a multiple angle on the Atlanta TV feed, it shouldn't have taken so long. Like, I think it was still in a way where it was kind of obvious that Klamala was actually an onside position despite intervening with the cross, that they should have called it either way, because it took like a couple of minutes before they finally decided that, yeah, the goal of course was given. So yeah, Tokens of course gets the credit because, like I said, Klamala never touched it, so it was kind of a little Randall Leao kind of esque goal, a little cross shot goal that gave the Red Bulls a 2-0 lead. And it could have been 3-0 just a couple of minutes later when Luquinhas blast one high, and Atlanta just had no answer with the Red Bulls transition and press. Like, every time when the Red Bulls go on the transition, Atlanta was on the back foot, and that defense just leaving gaping spaces for this Red Bulls team to attack. Rios Novos then denied Klamala, who had a free header. Like, again, another example of who in the world was marking Patrick Klamala there on a free header. The Red Bulls, or actually Atlanta defense, was just completely disorganized every time the Red Bulls go on the transition. And then Klamala fires it high from close range, and the shots were 7-1 in favor of the Red Bulls. Like, the Red Bulls could have been 3 or 4-0 up if it wasn't for the fact that the ball ended up in the hands of Patrick Klamala, who is really now becoming one of the most cursed number 9 in the league so far. But in the 35th minute, Moreno did blast one blast one from long range before Martinez heads it high despite having a free header. And again, that is a header that maybe a couple of years ago Joseph Martinez would have buried it, but because of the fact that Martinez, again, he just have not been the same ever since he subbed for that torn ACL. That's kind of just some his time where he's just not been as lethal as what we see before when he came into the league for the first couple of years. And again, I also thought that, I thought that Atlanta finally seems to woke up after just a disastrous start to this game. But as soon as I said that, the Red Bulls were looking to try to get that third goal. Yearwood almost made it free, but unfortunately he puts it high from long range, and then Klamala goes through on goal. But you probably know what's going to happen because, again, Klamala just cannot buy a goal right now, and he hits one straight to Rios Novo. And the Red Bulls, despite having a ton of chances in this game, Still only 2-0 that they had the lead against Atlanta United. Now, in the second half, Peralta hits one straight to Cornell before I thought Atlanta was once again on the front foot and they were pushing to try to get one back. And I thought the Red Bulls started to drop their lines and started to kind of pack it in a little bit and also continue to play on the transition because they know that, Atlanta is going to continue to push man forward, which means more space to exploit at the back. Morgan trying to make it free, but he fires it just high from close range before Amada had a half-hearted shot that goes wide, and you can start to see there was frustration start to show on these Atlanta United faces, and certainly some frustration inside Mercedes-Benz Stadium because, yeah, it just feels like they not only simply cannot break down the Red Bulls' low block, but also it feels like it's a very, very telling performance once again for this season where they just simply at times just look very lackluster when they go to the final third. Martinez then trying to heads one in, but he puts it wide there before Mosquera try an overhead kick but miss one in the 90th minute. But then in the 4th minute of stoppage time, Martinez finally scored as he scored here from Araujo to give Atlanta give Atlanta a goal back and set up an interesting finish in these last couple of minutes. I think there was only like 6 minutes of stoppage time, so when Joseph Martinez, of course, scored in this goal, I mean, maybe that was a consolation. Maybe Atlanta might get a miracle come back to get a late equalizer. It didn't happen, as in the end, the Red Bulls were able to hold on to win 2-1 against Atlanta. And the shots in this one, 13 shots for the 12 that Atlanta has. Both team have 5 shots on goal, 6 shots off target for the 7 that Atlanta has, 2 shots out that's blocked for the none that Atlanta has. And possession-wise, 73% possession compared to 27% possession that the Red Bulls has in this game. But it just doesn't matter because, again, the Red Bulls, this is a team that they just don't want possession. Like they're I think so far they're still the lowest possession team in the league right now because they feel more comfortable when they're trying to press and also trying to hit on the transition. And also, let's not forget to mention that this is a much needed win for the Red Bulls because things were looking a little bit dire with this winless run that they've been going through in these last couple of games. But for Atlanta United, this is a big blow to their playoff hope. And I just wonder, with these kind of recent performances that they've been having, I don't know if they can make it. Like, they're just being way too inconsistent right now, where there's times where they look good, and then there's time where they don't look good. And especially if you want to make it to the playoffs, you need to get on a consistent run. Because otherwise, if you're inconsistent and you always have to hope that teams around you lost, yeah, that's not going to do it. And that, again, if Atlanta United does miss the playoffs this season, I have a feeling there could be some big changes that could be made, and that, I haven't talked about Gonzalo Pineda being on the hot seat, but you can say that maybe he could be on the hot seat after this season. And you know who else could be on the hot seat? Carlos Bocanegra. He's definitely on a very hot seat right now, and Atlanta United fans have most of the time expressed their frustration over their GMs because of the failure they've been going through for the past couple of seasons. But that being said, moving on, in the next match is Toronto versus New England. So this was another game where for TFC, coming into this game, you knew that they had to get a win in this one because they wanted to not only keep the good run going with them now coming into this game with a 4-game unbeaten streak, but they're basically playing catch-ups, and that they need to win those home games. And here we are against a potential team that they are going to be fighting for those last couple of spots, that is the New England Revolution. They couldn't get it done. They got a 2-2 draw in this one. Though early on, Benedeschi did put it wide from long range in the 8th minute, as it was all TFC in terms of possession. Like, it looked like TFC was going to just dominate possession like they did against the Timbers and create some decent opportunity, and the refs were just trying to sit in a deep low block. Though they did have a chance in the 12th minute when Heel fires it high from long range before Petrovic denying Benedeschi from long range. It was another great game from Georgi Petrovic, and even though, yes, he did concede 2 goals in this one, I think he was one of the biggest reasons why New England was able to walk away with a point out of this game. And I think it's also safe to say that he is definitely been the right replacement for Matt Turner, and it feels like the Revs have not skipped a beat in terms of the goalkeeping position, with how Petrovic has really started to build materials in terms of maybe being a goalkeeper of the year contender. I mean, I know in the end he probably won't win it, because you could say that there's definitely a lot of decent goalkeeper in this league that this award, and that, unfortunately Petrovic kind of came in at the middle of the season, and usually you don't see goalkeeper win goalkeeper of the year if they come in the middle of the season. But if he can continue to put up these kind of performance next season, yeah, you can say that he's definitely on point of potentially winning that award next year and challenging some of the best goalkeeper like Sean Johnson and Andre Blake for that spot. In the 15th minute, Mavinga did misjump the header, but Insigne had a chance to tap it in the back post, but he also couldn't do so as he's trying to stab that one in. But there was no doubt that Toronto was pushing earlier for the opener. Akinola heads it high from close range, but then a penalty was given to TFC after McComb brought down Akinola in the box, which Benedeschi was able to bury that penalty. And that also is the first goal that the refs have conceded in 402 minutes. I mean, that just tells you how good this refs defense and also how good Georgi Petrovic has gone. Like before that, I think with 402 minutes without conceding goal, that's the second longest that the refs have not conceded a goal, a record that they even though they didn't break it from 9 years ago, it just shows you that how good this refs team has had of keeping the ball out of the back of the net, and especially how Petrovic is making some big save time after time in terms of not allowing a goal during those points. But that being said, that lead would be short-lived because in the 36th minute, Tommy McNamara would score to tie the game up at 1 apiece. Always love to see Tommy Mac gets a goal there, and he does in this one to tie the game up at 1 apiece. Though on the other end, it looks like TFC were looking to retake the lead as Insigne put a good shot, but again, it's that man again, Georgi Petrovic, coming up with a big save there to deny TFC a chance to retake the lead, and we head to halftime with the score tied up at 1 apiece. It wouldn't stay tied for long heading into the second half, as in the 48th minute, Justin Renick scored from heel to give the refs a 2-1 lead. I think that's the first goal that Justin Renick has scored in a very long time, because this is a guy that hasn't been getting a lot of minutes for this Revs, and it's been kind of a forgotten man too. I mean, I don't think a lot of Revs fans realize that they still had Justin Renick in their roster, but yeah, he's been playing a couple of games now as Bruce Arena gives him a chance, and he reward his head coach faith of scoring the second goal here to give the refs a lead. Though that is one that probably shouldn't have happened if Bono actually made a save on that. I mean, I feel like Bono absolutely should have done better in this one. I mean, this was a near post kind of shot from Renix, which it wasn't really the strongest shot, and Bono, he's got to be better in terms of pair that one away and not just get a hand to it and skip into the back of the net. But yeah, that gives the Revs a 2-1 lead. Crescito then blasted high from long range, and I just thought the Toronto looked a bit slow on the attack compared to the first half. Like in the first half, that attacking performance was very similar to the one against the Timbers, where they looked very crisp. But in the second half, it's a different story. I mean, and I think a lot of that has to do with the goal that they can see, where the confidence is low, and the fact that, yeah, I mean, now they really need to chase this game and not only get an equalizer, but also potentially get a third goal to keep in this playoff hunt. There was a huge shout for a penalty for TFC, and in fact, Lorea was absolutely livid when he wasn't given. Yeah, it was not. He did not get a penalty for TFC. He was so livid that he literally slammed on the turf there. And they did go to VAR momentarily to check to see whether or not if it was a penalty. It wasn't. I mean, I think, in my opinion, that's the right call, because I don't think Lorraine kind of sold that a little bit, and I think he's probably lucky the fact that he didn't get a yellow card, because when you have that kind of reaction, a lot of time you can see players can get booked for dissent. And I think maybe the only reason why that wasn't a yellow card was because the play was still going. If that ball actually went out and Larea had that reaction, the referee would have absolutely gone to his yellow card for dissent there. But that being said, Benedeschi then hits one straight to Petrovic before Insigne header was clear off the line by Gonzalez. And again, the pressure was mounting for TFC as they continued to press for the equalizer, but you just kind of had a sense, is this like the game against the Timbers where these missed chances is going to come back to haunt them? Thankfully, though, it did not, because in the 76th minute, Crescito would score his first career MLS goal, and what a first career MLS goal this was. I mean, we've seen some great first career MLS goal by these new MLS players, and this one was probably one of the better ones because he absolutely fired a rocket from long range and puts it on the poster stamp. And yeah, that ties the game up at 2 apiece. Jimenez tried to make it 3-2, but he drags one just wide as he went through on goal before in the 86th minute, Criscito, who already scored that goal also, he was fancy to score another one from long range, but this time didn't get the power to get past Petrovic. In fact, it hits it straight to him there. And yeah, in the end, it ends in a 2-2 draw in this one, as the shots in this one, 19 shots for the 6 that the Revs had, 4 shots on goal for the 7 that TFC had, 5 shots off target for the 2 that the Revs had, no shots that was blocked for the 7 that TFC had, and possession-wise, 67% possession compared to 33% possession that the Revs has in this game. And for New England, they're finally above the red line. I think that's been something that Revs fans been waiting to hear for a very long time, and finally they're able to do so, even though they did only got a point out of this game. And I think they'll be happy because, you know, for most part of this game, they were being outplayed, and that TFC, again, this will be a very frustrating resort because, you know, for a team that is playing catch-up right now, and even though this is now 5 games unbeaten, they cannot drop more home points, knowing the fact that they're not a good team on the road and that they haven't picked up a lot of road points this season. But that being said, I am now going to switch boards and look at the next 3 games that finish off match week number 26 in terms of the Wednesday action. So moving on, in the next game is Charlotte and NYCFC. So Charlotte gets their second MLS road victory in their franchise history after winning 3-1 against NYCFC, and it kind of helped the fact that they got an early lead in this one, as in the 4th minute, Kale Schwiderski, who hasn't scored a lot for this Charlotte FC team, he scored here from Gaines and McNeil to give Charlotte a 1-0 lead. Though originally this goal wasn't given. Originally it looked like Johnson robbed Schwiderski there with an incredible save to keep that one out. But then they had to go to VAR to see whether or not if the ball actually did cross the line when Johnson made that save, and it did. It was unlucky for Sean Johnson. Made a great effort to save it, but unfortunately he was kind of in his own goal right now, and that they, even though I know in MLS there was no goal line technology, you can clearly see that they had a very good angle to see that ball did cross the line, and yeah, VAR overturns that call and gives Charlotte a 1-0 lead. Though Rodriguez did try to curl one in from the free kick, but he puts that one high before he goes for goal again on the free kick, but this one is tipped over by Kalina. But in the 28th minute, NYCFC would equalize. It's Maxime Chenot scoring from Morales to tie the game up at 1 apiece, and Maxime Chenot is giving Domenico Criscito a run for his money in terms of the goal of the week contention, because he also scored an absolute goal lot. So from outside the box, I mean, you can question the closing down there from Charlotte. Not really anybody closing down of Chenot of potentially shoot that, but I can maybe understand why that's the case, because you don't expect a center back to score, and especially with Maxime Chenot doesn't score a lot of goals, and mostly on the header. That was kind of once in a lifetime in terms of strike that he scored there. But yeah, that ties the game up at 1 apiece, and I thought the momentum was definitely with NYCFC as they were looking to try to get that second goal, but for the most part, it didn't happen because Charlotte once again did a good job on the defensive end. I mean, I feel like for Charlotte, you know, I know these last 2 games they had to face against the best of the best, but for the most part, especially in the first half, they've done a very good job in terms of defensively. They really shut down LAFC in the first half in the defensive department, and then here against NYCFC they did the same thing. Though again, a lot of that has to do with the fact that NYCFC they were very lackluster in the final third, which has been a story ever since Tati Castellanos left this team. So we go to the second half with the score tied at 1 apiece, and in the second half, Johnson denied Vargas after just a giveaway from NYCFC before he would deny Fuchs from 20 yards out, and I thought Charlotte was off to their side, and NYCFC was being very sloppy on the defensive end, and we're kind of on the rope with some optional defending. And you know, this won't be the last time I'll talk about how NYCFC give the ball away terribly. That led to a goal. But in the 68th minute, Kalina did deny Hebert from close range before Kalina denied Magno from close range. Then Tinnerholm struck the post from long range in the 75th minute, and all of a sudden the momentum was with NYCFC. Like, they were really pushing to try to get the winner, but instead it's Charlotte the one that retake the lead. And it's Brent Barnacle scoring from Schwadetsky and Fuchs to give Charlotte a 2-1 lead. It was completely against the run of play because, like I said, even though Charlotte did start the second half the better side, the momentum really switched to NYCFC, at least for the last 15 minutes. And then in the first minute of stoppage time, they had a chance to put this one away, as a penalty was given to them after VAR deemed that Gloucester brought down gains in the box. I mean, that was just a sloppy foul from Chris Gloucester. You cannot not bring down an attacker like that. So, and that VAR basically looked at it to see whether that's the case, and it was. And yeah, Charlotte gets the penalty. Christian Fuchs buries it to give Charlotte a 3-1 lead. By the way, that's the first time that NYCFC had conceded a penalty in the past 24 games. So they had a long stretch where they haven't conceded a penalty. But yeah, that streak, of course, comes to an end. And it comes to an end in a costly time with Charlotte getting that all-important third goal to kill this game off. And the boos were rained down at Red Bull Arena from the smart NYCFC crowd. I mean, you can definitely see that this NYCFC fan base are getting very frustrated with the performance that this team has been putting, because, you know, it feels like now it's safe to say that, you know, I mean, it is still kind of early, but it's safe to say they desperately miss Tati Castellanos. And this was one of the concern that, you know, will this team still be the same, and can they keep up that attacking talent that they had when they had Tati Castellanos? And right now, the answer to that is a big no, because with this 3-1 loss, it's now 3 straight loss for NYCFC. And the shots in this one, 14 shots compared to just 6 that Charlotte has. But what's important is that out of those 6 shots that Charlotte has, 5 of them was on target, compared to 6 that NYCFC had. 6 shots off target compared to none that Charlotte has. 1 shot that was blocked for the 2 that NYCFC had, and possession-wise, 65% possession compared to 35% possession that Charlotte has in this game. And, you know, for NYCFC, if they continue to play like this team is going to, you know, they'll probably still end up in the playoffs because they're so far ahead. And unless if they continue to do like this and go through an epic meltdown, I think they'll still make the playoffs. But it's just when they do get to the playoffs, oh boy, that's when things could become a problem again, and that they could go back to that narrative of them not able to get past the second round, or not able to get past the first round, because there's nothing I can see this NYCFC team right now that tells me that they're going to repeat as champion. And again, you know, the worst nightmare for NYCFC fans to fear that this team is going to take a huge regression without Tati Castellanos is started to realize. And unless if these talented attacker, again, they have a lot of talent on their attack, a lot of good young talented player on the attack, but it just feels like a lot of them are underachieving, and unless they cannot find form going into the playoffs, this team looked like it could be a one and done team heading into the playoffs. But for Charlotte, a massive win, a win that really have proved a lot of doubters wrong. The fact that, yeah, this team maybe is done because of a rough stretch they had. I mean, they need to continue to get these big results, but, you know, they're showing some fight in that. I think even if they don't make it, I think there's got to be a lot of applause to what Charlotte has done this season, with so many off the field distraction, and yet still able to perform at a very respectable level as an expansion team. Yeah, bravo to Charlotte, having a really decent first season in MLS. But that being said, moving on, in the next match is Dallas and the Philadelphia Union, and what a big win this is for FC Dallas. And this is the thing about this team. They can sometimes beat the best team in the league, or one of the best team in the league at home, and they did it again in this one against the Philadelphia Union. Though early on, it was actually the Union, the one that had some early opportunity to get the 1-0 lead. Jack Elliott trying to score for the second consecutive game, but he puts it wide from close range before Glasnes puts it wide from the corner. So it's kind of interesting that there's two Union defender that has the 2 early opportunity of the game, but there's no doubt that the Union were on the front foot and they were looking for the opener, though they almost conceded the goal against the run of play when Paul Arriola actually went through on goal, but he could not put that one on target. and then Pos denying Carranza from long range in the 18th minute. By the way, both goalkeepers were very good in this one, and we know the quality of Andre Blake, but so is Martin Pos, who again, he is one of the most underrated goalkeeper in this league, and there's been times that he has single-handedly steal points for FC Dallas with his good goalkeeping display, and he definitely did it in this one against the Union. But in the 22nd minute, Carranza puts it high from 20 yards out on the free kick before there was a shout for a handball in the box by Dallas that was not given. But in the 34th minute, they would get the opening goal. It's Jesus Ferreira scoring from Areola and Leggett to give Dallas a 1-0 lead, and little do we know that actually ends up to be the winning goal of this game, though they had a chance to make it 2-0 if it wasn't for Blake denying Velasco from long range, and it's Dallas now, the one that looked like had the momentum to get that second goal. But we do head to halftime with Dallas leading 1-0, though in the second half, they continue to push to try to get that second goal. Blake denying Ferreira from close range before Areola had a free header that missed wide. Then Velasco drags one just wide from long range, and again, Dallas was knocking on the door, but how many times we've said this season, when you lead this game at 1-0, how many times it can come back to haunt the team that's leading 1-0 because of those missed chances, and especially against the Union, a team that knows how to come back on the road. Yeah, for Dallas, you just fear that these missed chances is going to come back to haunt them. In fact, they had a big opportunity in the 59th minute with Michael Roux, but Pos was able to deny him in the front post. Then Ferreira looking to try to get his second goal, but it was crucially blocked away by Glasnes. Blake then denied Velasco from 20 yards out, and again, Blake was back in his usual form. He was keeping the Union in it, and it looks like he was ready to hope that the Union can get a goal and steal a point out of this game. McGlynn had a low shot free kick that goes right to Pos. You got to question the wall there, because despite the fact that they set up a wall and they had a guy laying on the ground, somehow in some way that low shot was still able to get through, which again, it's a definition. The wall and the guy that was laying on the ground did not really set up very well there. But that being said, Paul McCall had a free header that goes wide, and the chances were mounting for both of these teams. You just kind of had a sense that next goal was eventually going to come, but as the time winds down, the Union was pushing man's forward, and it feels like Dallas was happy to just kind of bunker and seize out a 1-0 win. And again, normally I don't like that strategy when teams decide to just bunker and hold on to a 1-0 win, even if they're playing at home, because we've seen it so many times. It could come back to bite the team that decided to do that and the team that's leading. And again, the Union, with so much quality that they have, you fancy the fact that they could potentially find themselves the equalizer, but this is one of the occasion where it did not happen, because Dallas was able to hold on to get a big 1-0 win against the Philadelphia Union. Shots in this one, 13 shots per the 10 that the Union has, 5 shots on goal per the 3 that the Union has, 6 shots off target per the 4 that the Union has, 2 shots that was blocked per the 3 that the Union has, and possession-wise, 47% possession compared to the 53% possession that the Union has in this game. And like I said, for Dallas, a big win in this one against one of the better team and the best team in the Eastern Conference. And it feels like they're getting hot at the right time with the way that they're trying to pull away a little bit in terms of sort of securing themselves in a good position to make it to the playoffs. But for the Philadelphia Union, even though it was a disappointing resort, I didn't think they played badly in this one. It was just the finishing that wasn't there, and that Martin Pos and Andre Blake was kind of having a goalkeeper duel, and in the end, Pos was able to get the best out of Blake in this one. And as a result, like I said, Dallas with a massive 3 points, and that definitely will not make a lot of Western Conference team happy. The fact that now that Dallas, of course, win, it puts a lot of pressure on those teams below them to keep pace of where Dallas is in third place in the Western Conference. But that being said, moving on into the last game on this board is Vancouver versus the Colorado Rapids. So in a game where it was a desperation derby, because both of these teams were on the tail end of this big jumble of mess we see in the Western Conference playoff race, it's the Vancouver Whitecaps, the one that gets the massive 3 points over the Colorado Rapids. And they got an early goal just 14 minutes in, as Ryan Gaul would score from Gresso to make it 1-0 in favor of the Whitecaps. This came off of a terrible turnover from the Rapids, and this won't be the last time that they would concede a goal because of a terrible turnover. Though in the 21st minute, Lewis looked to try to respond quickly for the Rapids, but he puts it straight to Thomas Asau. By the way, Thomas Asau getting back into this game for the first time and coming back from an injury for the first time in what seems like a couple of months now. I think it was April, the time when he, of course, suffered that head injury, and he's been out ever since. Though Lewis did struck the post as the Rapids did. Well, actually, Lewis struck the post, and while before that ball struck the post from Lewis Shaw, they felt like there was a foul and potentially a penalty that should have been given to them when Rubio looked like he was brought down in the box. And anytime when I mention the name Rubio and talk about he was brought down in the box, probably the answer is no, because you know Diego Rubio, he's probably now becoming one of the most hated player in MLS with his antics and the fact that he likes to practice the dark arts a lot. And here, yeah, it was a good example of it where, you know, he's trying to fling himself, maybe get draw a penalty, and knowing his reputation, yeah, the referee was not having it. And that goes both ways when you're a player that likes to practice the dark arts and likes to create the antics, where, you know, you could become a villain and you could really get in the heads of the opponent, but at the same time, you also get in the heads of the referee, where even if you decided to attempt to commit a penalty, the referee won't bite it because they know you have the reputation of diving and also so create those antics that most likely won't help your cause of winning a penalty, even if you go down, if you feel like you of course won a penalty. Though that being said, I also thought that, you know, it's the Whitecaps the one that needs to watch out for those turnover. Like, both of these teams, the defense was not very good early in this one. Like, there was some very bad turnover that was made in this early part of this game. Though Nicholson did put a dangerous cross that was clear off the line by Blackman, as the momentum was now with the Rapids as they were looking to try to get the equalizer. Though Gresso did try to curl it in first time, but missed that one wide. But in the 40th minute, Gall would score again as to make it 2-0 in favor of the Whitecaps. And again, another bad turnover from the Rapids in this game. And again, I think, as I will say a little bit later, the turnover was the downfall for the Colorado Rapids in this one, because if they didn't commit those turnovers in this game, they probably could have walked away with all 3 points in this one. But instead, they committed that turnover there, and as I said, Ryan Gall scored his second goal to give the Whitecaps a 2-0 lead, and that would be the scoreline as we head into the second half. So we go to the second half, and in the 47th minute, Hassel did deny Lewis from close range before Gall had a shot that was clear off the line by Valencia. Gresso then fires it wide from long range before Max fires it high from 22 yards out, and both teams was getting good opportunity in it, just like the game that I talked about before. I think it was the game between Dallas and the Union, or actually no, I think that was no. I'm thinking of another game that I mentioned. Both team was having good opportunity, but yeah, it looked like the next goal could potentially come very soon, and it did. In the 76th minute, Jerzy Zardes would score to get one back for the Colorado Rapids and set up a very nervy last 14 minutes for the Vancouver Whitecaps, and that indeed was the case, because in the 81st minute, Abubakar would head it just high from the corner before Zardes actually looked like he was going full on goal, but his first touch kind of let him down, and it goes out behind for a goal kick. And like I said, the Whitecaps, they were on the ropes. Like, the Rapids were throwing man forward. There was some golden opportunity for the Rapids to get that second goal. Lewis just heads it wide in the front post in the first minute. Before, in the third minute, this was the opportunity. I mean, Jerzy Zardes really did well on this header, but unfortunately, the post was not having it, as that of course denied Zardes a chance for the Rapids to get that equalizer. And in the end, despite the fact that the Whitecaps were really holding on in the last the last 14 minutes of this game, if you're a Whitecaps fan, you were definitely clutching your butt throughout the last 14 minutes. They can unclutch their butt after the final whistle was blown, because they saw their team get a massive 3 points to win 2-1 against the Rapids. Shots in this one, 15 shots for the 8 that the Whitecaps had, 3 shots on goal for the 4 that the Rapids had, 3 shots off target for the 7 that the Rapids had, 4 shots that was blocked for the 2 that Vancouver has, and possession-wise, 43% possession compared to 57% possession that the Colorado Rapids has in this game. And like I said, big 3 points for the Whitecaps to keep themselves in the playoff race. But for the Colorado Rapids, again, the road struggle continue, and you know, if they do miss the playoffs this season by maybe like less than 3 points, this is the game they're gonna look back of the reason why they didn't make it, because this is a game where they play well for most part of this one, but those turnovers killed them. Like those 2 goals should never have happened if they didn't just turn the ball over sloppily there, and that, yeah, you know, they need to move on from this result and hope other team around them would also drop resort during the weekend, and also needs to bounce back this weekend too. But that being said, that is pretty much it for my review of these 5 games that happened in the midweek action. As I said, you know, we're going to get another big weekend's action, another 14 games that is going to happen this weekend, which means that there's going to be also some craziness that could happen in some playoff 6-pointer that I'll talk about in my preview in just a bit. But until then, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash the subscribe button. Let me know in the comments below what do you think of these 5 games that happened in terms of the Wednesday action of match week number 26. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time.